In this lesson, we wanted to cover off loops. So there are different types of loops. We're going to set a variable of a, and we're going to give it a value of 10. And loops, essentially, they give you the ability to do the same code over and over again. So if I've got something like document write, and I want to write my new value for a equals, and then have that value of a. And then here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a simple a equals a plus 1. And let's say I want to type this again, and I want to just do this over and over and over again. So when I go back out here and refresh the code, we can see that we're catching all this incremental values. I should actually put a space after that. But yeah, so this is a good example of, well, we've written out this code, and now what I want to do is I want to add this space because I had forgot to place that space, and I want it to be a new line break when I'm writing out this code. But now I have to go over and over on each and every one. Well, luckily for JavaScript, there are loops. So this is a great case to do a while loop. And all we have to do is check for a, and we're going to look for a. We want to loop it maybe 10 times. So we know that the value of a is 10, our starting value, and we want to continue to loop it through until while it's less than 20. And once it hits over that 20, we want that loop to stop. So we're just going to go back out and see what happens here. And remember, before, this took quite a bit of code to write all of this out. So now that we have this looping value, we're actually able to loop through, and we're able to see all of that value. And I'm just going to remove out some of this code here. So we see that we've got this looping value, and this is a really great way to calculate it. You just got to always make sure that when you are writing the JavaScript that you're allowing the loop to have a way to break out of it. So if I didn't include this addition to a, and if I was just looking for a to be less than 20, but a wasn't actually incrementing, then this could never be met, and it would actually loop continuously and probably then crash your browser. So always make sure when you're doing loops that you do have these breaks for the loop. With JavaScript, actually, there's going to be another way to do the same thing. It's going to be called a for loop. And with the for loop, it's going to work the same way as the while loop, but it's actually going to look a little bit cleaner. So instead of having that initial value of a, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use b. I'm going to set b equal to 0. So this is the same thing that I did over here at the top where I initiated that value. And separating it by a semicolon, I'm going to make my condition here that while b is less than 10, then we're going to continue this loop. And this is where I'm going to have my increment of b. And then in here is where I'm actually going to write that code. Value for b is b. So this should actually do the same thing, but this is actually a little bit cleaner. So there's going to be always different instances when you should be using which particular loop. So this one, again, we can see that it does the same thing. We could just as easily start b out at 10 and check for b while it's less than 20, or I think over there I have less than or equal to. So again, we could use that over there. Refresh it, and we should get the same results that we did for a. So it's the exact same thing, just a different way to do the declaration and the looping of the values. And these loops are going to become very useful within JavaScript when you are doing these types of calculations, and this repetitive, again, when you have to loop through and make multiple calculations. Or when you're looking for arrays, so arrays could contain multiple items, and you could loop through all the returned values and loop it in this fashion.